So now that the hype has died down, I have decided to test the real capabilities of Claude AI against GPT-4O and Gemini 1.5 Pro to see which of the three major LLMs is actually better. So I decided to test several sets of skills from the three, and I chose three key areas to test them on. Coding is the quickest in everyone's mind when it comes to testing the abilities of these models, and so I decided to start with coding. Just a heads up, the rest of the tests are on math-solving abilities and logical reasoning abilities. For the coding task, I asked all three AI models to write a program using Python that outputs good morning, good afternoon, or good evening based on what time it is, and then outputs 10 lines containing the loop index, beginning with 1, a space, and then the words, "Hello world." The coding task was easy for all the three models, and they all achieved the same result. The only minor difference was the length of the code that each of the three models provided. Since not all of them have an interactive window, I had to test the code on VS Code. Again, as you can see, all three of them provided enough comments on the code, so it is easy to follow through what each segment does. I think coding has already been cracked by these language models, and it would be a surprise if they struggled at simple coding tasks given their size. However, when it comes to complex code bases, most of them will struggle with minor details, but it is still an upgrade and offers value. I would like to know if you have used these language models in your coding projects and whether they provide any economic value as they are. Just share your experience with them. Also, I would like to know if you have a secret way of prompting them to get better results. Away from coding now, and the next test I decided to try was math. For the math-solving abilities, I asked the models to determine all possible values of the expression a cubed plus b cubed plus c cubed 3abc, where a, b, and c are non-negative integers. I specifically wanted to see the workings of the expression and the explanations that the models would provide while answering the question. The first on the test was Claude AI, which I know has become the new favorite for all of you. Immediately I prompted it, it started the explanation of the answer, working out the formula step by step. At every step of the answer, it took time to answer in order and explain what the right answer was. At the end, it provided the possible answers that it got correctly and gave a case for each answer which was provided. You can try this with other examples, especially ones that require mathematical reasoning. The next in line was OpenAI's new favorite GPT-4O. Now I know you have all seen on social media everyone claiming that they have canceled their GPT-4O subscription and opted for Claude AI. Now is the time to see whether they made a mistake or not. Let me know if you have switched from GPT-4O to Claude AI and why in the comments below. Immediately I gave it the question, and it started giving the answer, and I was surprised at how many times it edited its answer. As it was answering, it would write something and then immediately delete it before going on and writing something else. But eventually, after what felt like an eternity, it finished giving its answer. Going through the answer, it proved that taking time before answering is beneficial to AI models. The answer was well prepared and the expression was well explained and written in uppercase for clarity. The answer was similar to that given by Claude AI, although GPT-4O gave a better explanation and was easy to follow along. Finally, Google's Gemini stepped onto the stage. Just like its competitors, it did not disappoint and provided a decent answer. From the results, it is clear that all three models perform extremely well in answering math questions, although GPT-4O did a better job than the rest in explaining the answer. From here, reasoning abilities would be next to see if they are as intelligent as claimed to be. For logical reasoning abilities, I asked them about the classical farmer trying to cross the river problem, but with some twist to it. The first question I asked it was that a farmer stands at the side of the river with a dog. There is a boat that can carry one person and one sheep. How can the farmer get himself and the dog across the river in the fewest number of trips? I then decided to tweak the question a little bit and added some trickery to the question. After the change, it read, "A farmer stands at the side of the river with a dog. There is a boat that can carry one lady and one sheep. How can the farmer get himself and the dog across the river in the fewest number of trips?" As you would imagine, this is where some of the models would smoke some weed and answer whatever came to their minds, or rather their weights. For the first problem, Claude AI gave two scenarios, where the dog would fit into the boat, and that was a decent answer. The second scenario was rather hilarious because Claude AI claimed that the farmer should get across the river in the boat, then return to the original side and encourage the dog to swim across the river. What the hell was that? Why would the farmer not encourage the dog to swim before he crosses the river? That was pretty stupid from the model, to be honest. And yet, this is the best model so far on planet Earth. The second question brought up more nonsense from the models. Claude AI could not generalize that if the boat can carry a lady, there is a likelihood that the farmer is a lady. It assumed all farmers are men, and this probably comes from biases in training data. Then it repeated the previous nonsense of the farmer encouraging the dog to swim. Next up was OpenAI's GPT-4O. I gave it the first question where a farmer stands at the side of the river with a dog. There is a boat that can carry one person and one sheep. How can the farmer get himself and the dog across the river in the fewest number of trips? Immediately, I was shocked by the answer that GPT-4O gave. I was thinking it would do better, but it seems it had twice the amount of drugs that Claude had. It started well claiming that if a sheep could fit in the boat, then the dog would, and that the farmer could just carry the dog with him in the boat. But then it claimed that the boat should return to the other side empty. GPT-4O already sees a future of self-driving boats. Then it claimed that the farmer would ferry himself back to the starting side. Remember, the boat had already returned alone, and now the farmer has to get across the river without the boat. Then the third trip, the farmer ferries himself across the river to reunite with his dog. What sort of reasoning is that? On the second question, GPT-4O claimed that the total number of trips would be 1, but the explanation was lacking. Could not generalize that there are female farmers. I have seen claims that AI is gender biased, which is highly attributed to the training data. Finally, it was Google's time to shine where the rest had failed. I gave the same questions to Gemini, and oh boy, I was shocked at what Gemini decided to give back as an answer. The first question was: a farmer stands at the side of the river with a dog. There is a boat that can carry one person and one sheep. How can the farmer get himself and the dog across the river in the fewest number of trips? According to Gemini's reasoning, the first step the farmer takes is to ferry the dog across the river, leaving himself behind. How is that even possible? Is the boat remote operated? Or are we dealing with a super dog that knows how to operate a boat? On the second trip, the farmer returns alone. But on the first trip, the farmer did not leave. How is he now returning? And to make matters worse, it claimed that the farmer would ferry himself across the river. This is the magnificence of weighted reasoning. Where the hell did that come from? To make matters worse, on the second question, Gemini assumed that the information about the lady and the sheep was irrelevant in determining how the farmer crosses the river. It then proceeded to provide the same information as in the previous prompt, where it claimed the farmer ferries the dog without going to the other side, and then returns to a side he did not leave, before finally ferrying himself across the river. If there was any winning from Gemini, it won the Dumbest AI Award of the year and nothing else. What do you think? How have you tested the reasoning capabilities of these AI models? What are the best logical questions to test them on? Let me know in the comments below.